Okay, and what's up, guys, and welcome back to another podcast of the Chips or Crisps podcast. Everything to do with football, FIFA, and everything else in between. In today's podcast, we'll be discussing the brand new news of City's rejection from the Champions League, as well as the best FIFA songs and our Premier League predictions of the week. So, I think the best place to start things off is with Manchester City, kicked out of the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. What do you think that's going to do to the club then? And change the impact of not just the club itself, but the whole league and the dynamic of how things are going to change this season and in the upcoming ones.
Well, I think if this keeps going on, because, City's obviously going to appeal, and if that appeal falls through, they're going to have Champions League or they're not going to have Champions League for 2 years, and that's definitely going to lead some players out. I think that's definitely going to, I don't know, it might improve the competition overall, just because all the players might be spread around the league now from Manchester City. But, I can't really say much on this.
I think it'll be interesting. I think it's got interesting short-term and long-term effects. Short-term effects, the Premier League top 4 race is now blown a long way open. So it looked like we were just looking at a straight race for Europa League football. But now, like United, even Arsenal are now back in the race. That spot has now been freed up for what will be 5th place in the league to go and play Champions League football. Goddamn Sheffield United could be competing Champions League football next year, which would be
mental
to say.
Be mad, that would.
And I think that's happening.
I was just saying that'd be crazy if that happened.
I believe the last club was Nottingham Forest back in the mid-90s. The club.
That's what you like to hear.
Yeah, it's gone downhill from there, mate. I don't know what you're gloating about, but
we won 2 European
Cups.
More than Arsenal and Chelsea. Can I just say that?
We've got 1. That's what counts.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that's more. We'll take it. We've got some this century, but it'll be interesting to see how that will change the dynamic of the league as well, because it's going to really put pressure on clubs like managers like Solskjaer that before, kind of, although they were under a lot of pressure to achieve in just bagging that Europa League football, the pressure is going to be much more ramped up now, because they're going to have to come in and have an instant impact to try and bag that 4th spot in the financial aspect of things, and to see where that's going to go. So that's going to be interesting. Who do you think will bag that 4th spot then? Because there's a lot of competitors in for it. If we're assuming Chelsea and City up through.
I was going to say Tottenham, and then I realized they barely got a result against Aston Villa. I don't know. It's really close between, I think, Tottenham, United, and Sheffield at this point.
I'd say... Okay. No, I'd say another dark horse could actually be Wolves and Everton. Looking at it now, Wolves... Everton haven't really had the headlines, but they're only actually 4 points off of Tottenham and 3 points off Sheffield. So they could still put it back together with Ancelotti. Calvert-Lewin also is up to 12 goals this season. Ancelotti's got to be in the shout for an England hunt. So it'll be good to see if he can really pull things through. And it could be another club that could finally come on the rebound, which has been a long time coming after recent seasons for Everton. I believe we went over them the other week, so we won't go deep into them again. But we're good to see them really rebound as a club and get back into Europe. The opportunity is definitely now there.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about Everton because, they really haven't been in the headlines yet. They were, relegation zone at Christmas time, and now they're 6th, I think? 4th? 7th? 8th? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're above United and Arsenal. Hopefully United provided Chelsea back the win tonight. That's what we're all dreaming of, I believe. Mm-hmm. Every single one of us. But also...
the thing is, do you think their appeal will fall through, or will it actually work? That's the thing with Manchester City. I can't even be sure if
I don't think
that 5th place will actually be the Champions League spot at this point.
I think it'll get rejected. I wonder whether it'll get shortened. That's my thought.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Because that's a good point.
There was a situation with PSG where they were fined, but then they kind of reduced that fine after an appeal. So, I feel like Manchester City, either they could get the appeal of lowering how many years they're out of the Champions League, or hell, even just completely removing the ban in general.
I can't say if they remove the ban completely, it just makes UEFA look very, very spineless. Very spineless. which is I don't think they can get away with at all. But in the same respect, banning a club for 2 years, is that too hard setting down a marker? Because it could break the club from what people are saying. I mean,
my point on this, I think it's actually, they could kind of play it to their advantage, because I know they want, obviously their main aim is to win the Champions League. That's probably the main reason why Pep's there, but at least that they can now really focus on domestic, so, in their own country, and going back and getting the Premier League, because they're clearly not going to get it this season, and maybe, getting another treble like they did last year. But obviously it's going to affect them a lot, without a doubt, but they can kind of play it to their advantage at the same time, I think.
I think they could, but at the same time, if it's 2 years without Champions League, and you have players that are in their prime at the moment, like Kevin De Bruyne, I feel like you're going to want to move out. Just, I know it's only 2 years, and it might seem small, but I don't know. I just feel like that's enough
quite
for a
big,
player
really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Especially for a player of 28 or so. I believe De Bruyne is 28. He'll be 30 by the time they'd get back into the competition, which is... in career mode terms, you're definitely fucked, but in real mode terms as well, you're starting to tip over the edge just a little bit. You have exceptions like Ronaldo's, Messi's, maybe even Lionel Robben, but some of them just wouldn't be able to carry that form through for that much longer. I think it was Sterling is the one man that has committed his future regardless, which is interesting to see, but doesn't surprise me, because he doesn't really have anywhere else he can go. Because abroad never work. We've proved that multiple times. No way in hell is he returning to Liverpool. No way in hell would he go to United. And Arsenal is an absolute shithole. Can't see him going to the Blues. So I think although he's committed his future, he doesn't really actually have any options as to where else he could go. But it's interesting which other players do depart the club. De Bruyne is obviously top of the list. I can see someone like Riyad Mahrez, who's quite ambitious, shifting his weight on quite quickly and heading out the door pretty rapidly. Sane cannot see him staying in the slightest. So...
there's been rumors about him moving back to Bayern. Or not back to Bayern, but he's moving to Bayern.
This is even more of an opportunity for him to leave City now. It just widens the gap even more of him staying. Now I'm not in Europe.
I heard rumours that the players could actually just give up their contracts because of the fact that City had broken some kind of contractual law, meaning that they'd broken the agreement between the player and the club, and so they could actually release themselves without any cost to them at any moment if this were to fall through as such. So it's going to be a strange situation, one that we haven't seen before. The other rumour I heard was down to League 2, but that seems very extreme to me.
Nah, it's extreme.
I can't see that happening, to be honest. You can go down to League 2. Oh, God.
The Ace would never have been better. He would be set for life.
Definitely.
No, who's the other one? It's not the only one. I don't follow rugby that tight. But obviously, you had Saracens as I know you don't really have in America. You had Saracens, a rugby club that's gone over their salary cap, and they've had similar issues. They've been kicked out. They've been kicked out the top division as well. So whether UEFA is influenced by that, or the FA is influenced by that, saying the rugby lads can do it, can we do it too? It's going to be it's going to be a strange one. It's going to be a strange way up to see exactly where that goes. But will it damage their competitiveness? I think is a big question. I think the argument that we're all agreeing here is yes, probably, with top players leaving.
Even now, thinking about it, just the mentality of what do you even have to play for? You've practically lost the league to Liverpool, and you're banned from the Champions League. I think definitely this year they're just not going to care unless that ban is lifted. Next year, next year feels like the same way too, just because they're still banned. Obviously, you can win the league, but they've won the league how many times? 2?
The majority of the players of the club now have been for the last 2 wins. Mm-hmm. Those under Guardiola, I'm excited to see some of the old players back. I want to see Shay Given, Michael Richard, and Dunn. What's his name? Something Dunn. That back three back at City would be an absolute godsend after their recent centre backs.
No, they need a centre back. Definitely. They've only really got Laporte.
They're not going to get it now.
Yeah, they've only got Laporte. Really, that's about it.
Laporte could go. That's the thing now.
Yeah.
Laporte goes. Guardiola's complained about centre backs, but Jesus Christ, it could be a mess at the back next year. I mean, they're just going to have to work with what they've got, to be honest, and I can't see them bringing any new signings in. I think the best thing about it was the man supposedly that tipped it over the edge was Wilfred Bonney, who bagged a whopping about 10, 15 goals for the club, I believe, before being shipped back off to Swansea. It's an interesting situation. We'll see where it all goes. Is there anything more to add to that, or do you want to flip to FIFA songs?
I just hope the ban doesn't get lifted.
I hope it doesn't. It's just funny, I think. Like City think they're immune.
I think so too, honestly.
That City just kind of think that they're immune to all this kind of thing, and it's just like saying, no, you're not. Like, it'd be wrong if it was taken away from them.
Yeah, it kind of gives me hope for modern football because they literally did they overvalue or undervalue their sponsorship or whatever, and as a result,
it's all very money based. So like it's they would value their sponsorships a lot because that's exactly where the money's coming in, the shareholders and the.
Well, I think that's what they did. I think they registered it as not as much as it actually is because really. It seems like they're getting more money from just basically the city of Abu Dhabi than Etihad in general, which I think is why they are in this situation now, and also because they've avoided the investigation multiple times.
I mean, you can't blame him for that in that perspective. Another point is you never know if they do get relegated. David, maybe third promotion spot up for the championship across the board. That's could be another. It's interesting that when you think about that way, you've got clubs like City that are getting investigated for all this stuff, and then you've got teams like Bury and Bolton that are going down the pan very quickly due to financial problems.
Yeah, like Bury aren't even going to be a club. They're not even going to be a club, Bury. Like apparently they're going to be completely liquidated, and at least like Bolton are a club still, but they're still in a very poor situation. So technically, in the grand scheme of things. This is not that big for City, but in there, for them it's big, obviously.
Statement for football, I think, is what it has to be.
Yeah.
The next 10 years could be a very defining era in terms of where things want to go. Over the last 10 years, we've had a lot of monetisation in the sport, especially the last 10, 20 years, there's been a lot of monetisation. And fans and unions, however it works, have an opportunity now with the likes of City to put their foot down and maybe bag a couple more culprits. PSG, they could try and throw their weight around a bit more if they can pull this one off. But if that's everything, do you want to transition to songs then? Or any more comments? I don't think I have any more to add. Songs then. Best of FIFA. I think there's a lot of good ones in which to throw in here. Has anyone got any options to start off with? Or shall I kick off for us? Okay, so... Shit. My logic with it was that I didn't go for songs that were famous beforehand. So obviously The Knights is a huge FIFA song. It's FIFA 15, but Aviva is famous anyway. I didn't actually play FIFA 15, but all I ever hear from FIFA 15 is The Knights was on the thing. And Love Me Again, the John Newman song. But I wouldn't count either of them, especially because they were both songs in their own right already. I prefer songs that are that you don't see, they're out there. You don't really know the artist, and then you kind of get to love them because of the song, not because of the fact that you already knew it and it's on the game already. Now, a couple of ones I picked out as especially good songs. There was Ordinary People from FIFA 19. I thought was a very good tune last year.
Decent. Yeah. One of my favourites on FIFA 19 was Gold Rush by, I don't even know what band it was by. I just thought it was a really good song. I just think FIFA 19, it wasn't the greatest soundtrack, but it did have a few good ones on there.
I don't know, man.
It's quite good.
I mean, music taste is subjective.
I think just compared to FIFA 15 in particular, it wasn't quite to the same level. That's what I mean. But it had some good hits on there for sure.
I think a couple of good ones. Yeah, Border Girl was a good song. I thought. You had Tom and Jerry. I thought Genius as well. So I thought there were a few decent ones actually on that set person, especially compared to FIFA 17 had absolute fuck all. I didn't find more than 2 songs that I looked at and went, yeah, I'd listen to that again, to be honest. In terms of the whole thing, which I thought was quite disappointing, to be honest. Other songs that caught my eye, I don't know which you guys played 14 and which didn't. Hit It, American Authors. I thought that was
It's a good one.
Yeah,
top
that's up there.
things.
Another one from
16.
yeah. No, that one is on my list as well, actually.
Found What I've Been Looking For, Tom Grennan. I think that was 16 as well, maybe 14.
Yep.
I thought
Actually, I think that was 18. Actually, I don't know.
I think that was 18 too.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Because it wasn't that old. It was pretty recent, to be honest.
No, my brain's gone on that one. You're right. And Down We Go by Caleo. That was good. That was 18.
Okay.
Maybe 18. What did you guys get then?
One of the best ones on FIFA 15 as well is Come Alive. That's just a banger. That is. I don't even know what artist it's by. It's just a really good song.
Oh, I think was that Empire of the Sun or something.
No, that was FIFA 14.
No, you're right. Yeah, I was thinking of the band. Fucking.
Yeah. Just a really
one
good
of my
song.
favorite songs. Yeah, one of my favorite songs was "Walk" by Quabs on FIFA 15. That was a banger.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. Every time you just entered the menu on FIFA 15, and I usually don't play the soundtracks anymore, but when I used to, I mean, that was the song that I'd always play, and it got you up instantly.
No. I didn't even play FIFA 15, and I still listen to that song. That shows that one had in terms of the top ones.
Catfish and the Bottom End as well. Cocoon, that was on there.
That was a good one, yeah.
That was a good one.
All I hear is how good FIFA 15 was, and I feel like I missed out on that game.
FIFA 15 was good, and I honestly think FIFA 14 is the best soundtrack, just overall.
Yeah, FIFA 14.
I mean, yeah, you got Alive by Empire of the Sun, Love Natural by Crystal Fighters, Running by David Dallas, The City by 1975. Yeah. I mean, this was just overall, like, in terms of my taste, which is pretty just alternative indie, yeah, this was definitely probably my favorite soundtrack. I mean, the thing with FIFA games is just, what I like about how they create their soundtracks is that they don't really go for usually the modern songs. They go more for, those underground artists that could easily grow just because of how catchy those songs are.
No,
I really think that, wait, what?
No, go on. I was just agreeing. Yeah.
I think my music taste was definitely built off of a lot of these soundtracks, just because I didn't really get into indie until probably FIFA 14, and after that I'm just a massive indie head at this point. So yeah.
Fair way looking at. I mean, actually, you look back and you've got a fair argument. Looking over the songs that I've got a couple here, I can see obviously Jax Jones is obviously, in terms of pop music from FIFA 16. Yeah. Sounds really weird saying it just like that. Jax Jones has become a major artist in terms of that set. You've got, I mean, on the last few FIFAs, Billie Eilish, you should see me in a crown. She's obviously blown up humongously. Logic was on FIFA 19. Bugsy was on 19. So it is a good place in terms of that for actually up-and-coming artists, in terms of the way that you describe that. I think that is a great positive of the game, that it brings new people into the limelight that, certainly for myself, I wouldn't otherwise certainly see or hear.
Yeah, I think one thing about one of the FIFA soundtracks is FIFA 16, in my opinion, is kind of underrated. You have Shine a Light by Banners, Let Me Know by Wild, which kind of matches up to Walk by Quabs, but it's not as good, but it's still pretty good. Feeling Electric, I remember that was played in a lot of the trailers. You have Gold by Years and Years. I mean, I think it was a pretty good soundtrack. There's also Trip Switch that I keep listening to for like the past 2 weeks, just because I got back into that one. It's obviously not the best, but I definitely think it's a pretty solid soundtrack. I think it was probably the last best soundtrack in my opinion, but that's just subjective.
Yeah. Glory is again. It all miss actually. Dreaming by Small Pools was a very good song. I think that was that 16?
That was 14.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
That was a good song. And I think also the most famous argument is Jerk It Out from all the years about like FIFA 07 or something. That's used in so many. I mean, you look on YouTube, the amount, Chris MD, especially, that kind of people use that song all the time, and shows how these kind of songs have grown exponentially over the past 10 years or however long they've been out there in the market. Have you got any other keys?
How would I throw it back to FIFA 11? I Can't Talk by Two Door Cinema Club.
I've
That's a good one.
I never actually. That's the two honest 11 and 13 two I missed. So I can't. But I've heard Two Door Cinema Club are very good. They're still kicking about as a band, aren't they? As well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah.
Were they one of the ones you mentioned the other week, or have I made that up? I'm not sure.
I didn't.
I don't think so.
I didn't mention it. I do listen to them sometimes though.
Yeah, I heard someone say them. No, we've got. Oh, the Chelsea game starts in 10 minutes. Actually, that's gonna be a tight one. I hope the lineup's coming soon. I can cry myself to sleep. But we've got match day 27 coming up soon. If we're moving on from songs here.
I add one thing.
Oh yeah.
We won 4-0. So thank you for your 1-all predictions.
I think even you can say you're surprised about that, to be honest.
Like... I was like, okay, you know what? 2-0. I'm quite happy with this. This is literally what I predicted. I mean, like, I'm kind of betting on this result. And then they started scoring more. I'm like, well, you know, I have lost money, but they are 4-0 up right now. So, I mean, it was...
You even got
Ozil up and down.
Scoring.
Ozil fucking scored. Lacazette scored. I mean, my God, man. I know Newcastle basically capitulated, but I'm still happy with that.
To put it into another perspective, what you're saying is that beating Newcastle at home was the highlight of your season.
Let's hope not.
Arguing it in a different dimension. Nketiah up front, I was interested to see that they gave him the nod straight away. I mean, it might be fair to say that he's made a big impact. I mean, Leeds have obviously suffered since his departure, and Patrick Bamford certainly hasn't filled the gap, judging off of their recent results. So maybe he is a man for the future for the Arsenal, especially considering Lacazette and Aubameyang could be out the door with Arteta's rebuild.
I mean, for Nketiah, how he played against Newcastle, he definitely wasn't bad at all. He honestly should have scored a goal. He actually hit the post from like inches away, which is kind of unlucky. But I mean, he looked nervous on his first day. But at the same time, I mean, he's young. And for what I saw yesterday, or at least for the second half, because I kind of fell asleep in that first half, I'd say he did pretty well.
Now there's saved my fantasy team as well. Some of those players, Aubameyang obviously brought him in this week. Absolute blessing. Hopefully they can keep that form running and I can get back up the leagues. Fingers crossed. No, Premier League fixtures for next week. Assuming we want to leave the West Ham City game, because I'm pretty sure we predicted that weeks back. The game hasn't actually happened yet. But the first game next week is Chelsea-Tottenham. That's an interesting game. That's one of those games that's going to be a real head-off for the top four. I think I can only go one way. I'm going to have to say... I think it'll be tight. I'm going to say 3-2. Fuck it. 3-2 Chelsea. A bit of drama.
I've gone for
1-2.
Interesting. I was just saying.
I just think that. Wait, what?
Nah, I was just saying. I think it'll be 1-1.
That's fair. I just think that, you know, Tottenham have been conceding a lot. Chelsea have been kind of conceding a lot too. So I think 2-2 fits this pretty well.
So we've got 2 draws and a win for Chelsea. That's all right. I'll take that. As long as we're holding the line against our opponents, we'll take that. Got some interesting fixtures. There could be some messy fixtures, actually, looking at the games ahead. But next fixture on the list is Burnley versus Bournemouth. Now, Burnley, obviously a little bit way more up the table. Actually 11th on the same points as Arsenal, as we're bringing that side up. Just a fun little statistic for all our fans. But Burnley-Bournemouth... I'm going to have to give the money to Burnley, I think. I mean, I said that last week and I'm pretty sure they lost, but I reckon they can pull it through this week. I reckon they can bag the 3 points. It's time to do it.
Burnley beat Southampton. Yeah.
It's very good.
I've gone for 2-0 Burnley. I just think Burnley, as I said before, on their day are actually a really good team, but when they're bad, they're really bad, which is, you know, quite a few teams. But Burnley, I don't think you can write them off for Europa League. I think that they are actually in it. I don't think they will get it, but they are in that.
They have like a 5% chance.
Yeah, but they're in and around it. I don't think you can write them off just yet. I mean, we'll see. But I think Bournemouth are just a little bit too weak for Burnley. I think Burnley will get it though this one.
I'm gonna go 1-0 Burnley.
Classic Burnley 1-0.
I didn't actually say a score, so we'll stick with Maqwell as well. We'll go 1-0 Burnley, why not? See if we can get an actual number. We need to look back at these and at the end of the season, see who's got the most right. But anyway, Palace Newcastle. That's a pretty tight. Jesus Christ, that's a pretty tight game in terms of. But Newcastle took a battering this week. But I think if anyone can bounce back after a defeat, it's probably them. I mean, they're known for their ups and downs. So Palace, I haven't heard a lot about them, so I'm going to say 2-0 Newcastle. Switch it up a bit. Hopefully, St James's Park can have something to celebrate.
I thought Newcastle was honestly kind of unlucky against us multiple times, especially in that first half. I mean, the first half was a way different game from the second half. So judging from how they did that first half and way up until probably the 80th minute in the second half, I think Newcastle weren't honestly that terrible. So I don't know if I see them scoring, though, and I definitely don't see Palace scoring. So I'm going to have to go with a 0-0 for this one. Newcastle have recently been just struggling with scoring in general. I think more of their defenders have scored than their attackers. So yeah, I'm going to go 0-0.
I went for a similar thing. I went 1-0. I don't know. I just wasn't sure because Palace are starting to struggle and Newcastle, like we said, got battered. And you never really know what's going to happen with them. So I just went 1-0. Why not?
Both those sides need to be a little bit careful because look at the table. They're both at the bottom of that mid-tier group. And a couple of results. There's still 12 games left in the season and they're only 6-7 points off of safety. A little bit of a slip and they could be in that danger zone. I mean, Newcastle's form. Newcastle only made 24 goals this year. That is pretty shocking. So, Joel Linton, I think, I was looking at BBC Sport. He hasn't scored in 2,000 minutes in the Premier League, I think, was the headline.
God.
Which
I thought that
was
earlier,
a panic buy.
Even Bentner's done better than that when he was back in the day. But we'll see if he can. 40 million was what they spent on him as well, which it shows that maybe spending big on an unknown player isn't always going to pay off, especially when they're heading to Tyneside. But the fourth fixture, Sheffield United versus Brighton. Two underdogs at the beginning of the season, but both doing all right. See, Brighton had that messy incident in midweek with some helium video with Trossard and Duffy and a couple of others. But I reckon Sheffield, they've had a bumpy run of recent, but I'm going to give them 3 points. I reckon Sheffield can pull off a 2-0 victory.
I've gone for the same, actually, 2-0. Brighton, they've actually been all right this season. Surprisingly good. But when you look at the table, they're actually lower than you think. I think they're like 15th or something. So they're not even doing that well when you look at it. But I just think Sheffield United, I don't see them slipping up. I just think this is going to be an incredible first season back in the top flight. I don't see them getting the Champions League, but I think they could get the Europa League. So I've gone 2-0.
So I'll switch it up. Now imagine that Billy Sharp in the Champions League versus Barcelona. That would be scenes.
Oh, God.
I reckon they'd play him just because.
Well, this is a man that was in League One and now he's going to be playing in Champions League. Even Europa League's mental. But
it's a story, that's for sure.
I think it's kind of on par with Leicester winning the league title. It's just completely out of nowhere.
I think Leicester winning is bigger because you've had the likes of Newcastle have good seasons before. And just winning the Premier League in a stacked year is... I think it betters it, but that's
it's close, but Leicester's definitely bigger. But, yeah.
They could still finish 14th, so we'll see how that all tots up. But the next game is an interesting one. Southampton, Aston Villa. So Villa stuck up a very good fight the other week. They played very well against Spurs. They obviously bottled it at the end. Grealish, I don't think there's too much transfer controversy around him at the moment. Obviously, there's always talk with him, but I just feel like it won't impact too heavily on the club, and he'll just want to get his head down and make sure he can bag that spot in the starting lineup for England at Euro 2020. And Southampton have quietened down after a run, so I'm going to say 2-0 Villa. I'm going to say the away team's going to pull away with the points in the next match.
It's interesting. I wasn't sure at this. I was thinking either a win for Southampton or a draw. And I know Southampton lost their last game, but they've really been picking up since really they got battered by Leicester. They've just been getting better and better. But Villa, they've been quite inconsistent, so I think it's probably fair to say a draw. So I'll just go 1-1. I don't really know why. I just think it'll be a draw.
That's a decent shout. Both teams have the... Villa have a habit of conceding a lot in every game, so even if they do bag the lead, it's plausible to see them pegged back, especially with Danny Ings on still pretty hot form, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, he scored against Burnley
exactly
on the weekend, so I would definitely say Southampton winning this one too. I want to say 2-0.
So you've got a complete split of results. I've got win, you've got Southampton win, then David's got...
Very evenly matched.
I think they probably are quite evenly matched teams, to be fair, actually. I want to know whether Southampton will go down next year in the following season, because they've had a good run of form, but are they going to dip off again? I think it'll happen. It's only a matter of time until that club is in the Championship. They can't hold on forever.
We'll see.
Southampton victory then. And then the 5:30 kickoff on that Saturday, we've got Leicester and Manchester City.
Big game, that. Very big game. I wasn't sure. I think Leicester obviously have kind of been a little bit going downhill since Christmas when they think they drew with Norwich and lost to Southampton, and they got battered by Liverpool, of course, at home on Boxing Day. But Leicester are still up there. It'd be disappointing, really, if they don't get the Champions League. I think they will. City, I think obviously they're still a top side. Will European football, not having them not having that next season affect them? It's interesting. I've just gone for a draw. I don't know why. Again, I've been quite vague with this, but I just think it'd be 2-2. 2-2. Why not?
2-2. I'm going to say 2-0 Manchester City. I think just the drop-off of Leicester City, even though Manchester City haven't been at their best this season, they definitely created a lot of chances. I actually read an article on the entire match against Spurs, where they practically squandered every single chance, and there was so many of them. But I think it's going to be a different story, and I think City is going to finish their chances, so I'm going to say 2-0.
I'm going to go even bigger. I'm going to go 3-0 City. Reason being is that the market for City players has now changed drastically, because beforehand they were fighting as a team. Now, if you're trying to leave the club, you want to be making a big of a standout impact for yourself as possible. So the likes of De Bruyne, the likes of Bernardo Silva, the likes of Aguero, they've all going to be looking at this next 6-month period if they want to leave in a very different way. And I think that's just going to add fuel to the fire of this City team. And if Leicester can't get a grip of this game, which I don't think they will, I can see City really running riot here. And they've got more goals than Liverpool this season, so I can see them running riot on a Leicester defence that hasn't had the strongest couple of games. So I'm going to say 3-0 to Manchester City. I think that's the final result.
Interesting. I think another thing with this fixture is Leicester have beaten City a few times. Whenever they have, it has actually been quite convincing. When they win the league title, I think they beat them 3-1 at the Etihad as well, and they beat them 4-2 the season after that. But then whenever City beat Leicester, they tend to really beat them. They beat them 3-1 this season. And I think last season they beat them 5-1 or something massive. So yeah, maybe my initial prediction was a bit ambitious, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's going to be exciting. I think it will be.
It's going to be an interesting one for the fantasy teams as well, with a lot of players on the line in a game such as that. But next up on the Sunday, we've got our second Manchester game, actually. We're headed to Old Trafford. United versus Watford. I've got that little inkling that maybe Watford could pull something out of the bag here.
I mean, it's happened before.
And I can just see Gerard Deulofeu in a game of little chances, and those chances being highly missed, either going 0-0, or the prediction I'm going to bank on is a 1-0 to Watford. Gerard Deulofeu or Troy Deeney-esque going up and bagging a goal in a game that United control but can't finish.
A bit like with Burnley at home. They're all over them, but they lost 2-0. So it could be that. My prediction, I know United, you just don't know what to expect from this season. 1 minute they're beating Spurs and City at home, one of them away, and then they go and lose to, who was it? They lost to Watford in the first game. So, like, you never know what's going to happen. And I know Watford have kind of been going downhill a little bit recently. Like, they drew Brighton in their last game, I think, and they lost to Everton, of course. But I don't really know what to do for this one, so I just went for 1-0 United. I just thought they would, get it. Only just.
For me, I kind of want to say Watford, but at the same time, Watford's already beaten them once, and I feel like United are going to want some revenge from that. I'm still honestly not convinced to put United over Watford, though. So I'm just going to go 1-1 draw.
Okay, that's it. Again, a set of splits in the results as to which way that game goes. I mean, both clubs need the result. United now have that opportunity to get Champions League football. I didn't realise the Spurs are only 1 point behind us, but Watford also need to pull themselves out of that relegation zone. They've done a huge fight to get back into it. They need to finish the job. And results like this is the kind of result that a bottom 3 club pulls off. The kind of result where they've got nothing to lose and they manage to put it all out of the bag. So I think it's an exciting one we got there on early Sunday afternoon. The other game on early Sunday afternoon is Wolves versus Norwich. Another team in relegation and another team scrapping for the Champions League in next season, and the lineups are out for the Chelsea United game. Hopefully Christensen isn't in defence, but I can't see this going any way other than Wolves getting a dominant victory, to be honest. I'm going to say 3-1 to Wolves. I think that's a fair shout.
Yeah, but same here. I went for it 3-1.
I'm going to say 2-0. Actually 2-1. I'm going to change that. Wolves against clubs that they dominate the possession, it seems like they don't do as well. So I think Norwich might get one off of them maybe early into the match, and then maybe after that Wolves come back 2-1. It's going to be interesting because, I mean, Norwich, I honestly can't predict Norwich matches ever just because it just seems like they're very unpredictable at times, even though they are bottom of the table. So it's going to be interesting.
I've heard a lot of people describe them as the best looking bottom of the league team we've seen in a long time. And
oh, yeah, for sure.
I agree with that.
Nice players. Cantwell, obviously, is a huge player for them. And it'll be a shame to see someone I think we're probably going to see come the end of the season. But there's a few interesting players that could be up for grabs there. And then the next game, Max, you've got a big influence on this one, Arsenal-Everton. I believe they're similar points in the table right now, yet they're sitting 8th and 10th, 2 points between them. Arsenal have the chance to leapfrog Everton. If it were to bag the 3 points, Everton would take a real claim for that top 4 spot if they can go and bag the 3 points as well. They're very tight teams. Arsenal are on a high and Arsenal are at home. So I'll give you 1-0.
I'm going to go 1-1. I mean, like, my optimistic side is telling me 1-0 or 2-0 to Arsenal just because we're at home. But, I don't know. The realistic result for me, I think, would be 1-1. Even though we did beat Newcastle 4-0, I don't know if we're going to really continue on with that momentum. So I'm going to say 1-1.
I've gone for 2-1 to Arsenal. I know Everton are picking up a lot under Ancelotti. Arsenal, I know they won the last game big, and but most of the season they have been quite poor, obviously. And it's not even like you've lost lots of games. It's just you've drawn so many as well, like 12 draws or something like that. It's a lot. So that's one of the reasons why you're so low down. But I just could see you winning this kind of game. I don't know why. I just think, 2-1 to Arsenal, I think.
Dang.
Oh, God.
So I'm underestimating my team then, I guess.
I don't know, I'm not. I just looked at the text and I'm shocked. Our front 3 is Pedro, Batshuayi and Willian.
Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got Luke Shaw and Eric Bailly at the back, in a back 3, so that adds a bit of confidence. And they've got no Pogba, which is... He's still injured. Jesus Christ, he's been gone for ages.
Oh, yeah, he had surgery a couple weeks ago, I think.
And Caballero has still kept Kepa out of the England side. He's still not back in the team. Does he have to, for 22 million, I think you would have given him a bigger chance. But maybe if he's had a rift with 2 managers now, maybe there's something wrong with the player. I don't want to turn my back on him, but I think I might have to if the performances can't pick up or he can't get back in this team. With a legend like Frank, I'm going to have to back him rather than the Spaniard keeper, I think.
Yeah, statistics have shown that Kepa is the worst keeper in the league so far.
Well, so
that's really saying something. No, actually, like, statistics have said that.
Seen the same thing. I want to support him. I like his energy. I like his vibe, kind of. But if he's not putting out the results, I don't think we can back him. And if the manager's rejected him, then I guess that's game over for him, maybe, in terms of his Premier League career. The final game of the Matchday 27 fixtures, Liverpool-West Ham. I'd say this is probably the easiest fixture to predict. And I think we could all confidently... I'm going to say 3-0 again. I can't see West Ham pulling off a miracle. And Liverpool are just on an absolute rampage.
Yeah, I agree with that. Liverpool, obviously, don't see them losing this season. The way they're going, they just look unstoppable. I know they only just beat Norwich, but, you know, they still beat them. West Ham have been really poor, so 3-0 Liverpool for me.
4-0. 10 between us is not looking pretty for the West Ham side. But, well, whilst we're here, why not? Chelsea United predictions. We probably said this the other week, but now we've seen the lineups. Any last minute changes?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it... hopefully I'm jinxing it, but I'm giving it to United now. I reckon United could bag a 2-0 and do the double over us. Don't want to see it.
By the time this is out, people will know the results, so you could be talking rubbish. Yeah. People will know.
Did we ever predict the...
I've uploaded speech, you just wait.
Did we ever predict the other 4 matches of the Champions League? Because those are up next week.
We didn't.
No,
I don't think we did.
Yeah, let's just create a half-assed Champions League prediction part of this series. I think we should just continue this tradition.
Yeah. Okay.
Put no effort in, just search it.
This is for the...
At least the search is up now.
Yeah, so Chelsea, Bayern.
Happened, yes.
Yeah, we not really thought this through, have we?
I suppose now by the time this gets uploaded, it'll probably be like Wednesday, so... Well,
yeah, exactly.
on next week, we've got Napoli-Barcelona.
Barca, obviously.
Shoes.
Yeah.
More so Barcelona.
No, more so Napoli. Napoli have lost the whole dressing room to the extent where they didn't get paid.
I didn't hear about that, actually.
Napoli are 10th in the league, I think, for Serie A, so they're...
Yeah. That is crazy. That Napoli have gone from being the main challenger to Juve to being not even in Europe next season. Like, it's really mad. It's not even like they've got a bad team. They've got a really good side, really. And I know Barca... Yeah, that's a good point. But, like, I know Barca aren't really doing that well, but it's still Barcelona at the end of the day. So I just see Barcelona winning this.
I'm going to go 2-1. I think 2-1 Barca. And get 2 away goals, obviously, will be very big for them.
For me, I'm going to go a little bold here because that's what I did for my bracket prediction. I'm going to say 2-0 Napoli. Because
very interesting.
It's this one's kind of hard for me just because everything's gone down for both of these clubs, it looks like, and more so than another one. But with Napoli, they've beaten Juventus before. They're very inconsistent. I mean, they beat Juventus, they've lost to Lecce, they've beaten Liverpool twice, I'm pretty sure, in the Champions League. I mean, that was
I was about to say
season,
actually. About to say they beat Juve.
So who knows? Maybe their mentality is stronger towards the Champions League now that they're 10th. You never know, and I think it's going to be 2-0. I think in the second leg, Barcelona's completely going to destroy them, but I think Napoli might have the first hand here.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that Italian clubs kicked out Barca. Obviously, wasn't it Barca that got kicked out by Roma a couple of years back?
Beautiful day.
Wasn't it? Man,
they bottled it to Roma, didn't they?
So it's all on the cards. The next game, Chelsea-Bayern. A match I have very fond memories for in some scenarios. And I'm going to have to...
4-0
I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea. Unless Will...
I'm not sure about that. I know Chelsea are good on their day this season, but they've been quite crap at times, especially at home. You lose to like Southampton and
nice performance in the last 6 months. That's the.
I mean, you guys just
I kind of made myself look stupid there. But and what my point is like you've lost games you should have won to like Bournemouth and West Ham at home. And I know that Bayern tend to batter English sides, Spurs, this season.
12 was a good year. Quite nice.
That was 2012, buddy. Yeah.
And Arsenal, of course, I'm sure that's not good for you, Maqwell.
10-2.
Let's not talk about Bayern.
Love those days. I'm going to go 4-0 Bayern.
Excuse me.
Jesus. Christ, right.
Game.
4-0.
4-0.
I think Bayern are going to destroy Chelsea. Honestly,
I'm going to cry.
They're predicted as one of the top teams to make it to the final, and I think to really make a statement clear, they're going to destroy Chelsea.
Nah.
Interest. I think it'd be 3-1 to Bayern. I think they'll win convincingly, but I don't think a thrashing, in my opinion anyway. I just don't think it'd be that bad.
We're going to wheel out 45-year-old Drogba, and you're all going to let that mugs. Do you want that celebration is going to be coming back all over the stadium in the other game.
Bold Drogba.
Ooh. Third game is a very interesting one, actually. City versus Real. City have their, obviously, Champions League issues. Do they go even harder now they can't win the Premier League this year? Because this is their last opportunity to win this title in the next 3 seasons. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Manchester City over Real Madrid.
I'm going to check my prediction for this one earlier. Let's see.
David, what'd you go for then?
Yes, interesting one. I know Madrid are kind of getting back to their old best, from a few years ago, because I think the top of the Liga, and they've actually done all right in the Champions League. City, obviously, it'd be quite weird if they were to win it this season, and then the next 2 years they're not in it. That would be quite strange.
I think
but
they've got nothing to lose.
Potentially.
And
that's a good point. Yeah, they've got nothing to lose. We all know they've got a good team, but they've slipped up this season at times, quite a few times. But then again, we all know that City, when they're at their best, can beat anyone really. And Real Madrid, if this was last season, they probably would win. But this season, it's kind of different because Real Madrid are kind of looking good again. So,
I mean, they're
very interesting.
So,
yes, I forgot about that. I think this would be a draw, the first game, and I could see Real Madrid. Yeah, I could see Real Madrid maybe winning the second leg. If City go to the Bernabeu and win, that's mad, but we'll see.
It can be done.
I mean,
prediction? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I predicted 1-1 this one, I remember. I honestly am slightly inching towards a 1-0 towards Real Madrid, just because they have the best defensive record in the top 5 leagues. And Manchester City, like you guys have said, on their best days, they can be great, but have they had their best days a lot this season? I don't think so at all.
No, definitely.
They've squandered so many chances. There's an article about how their main, source of goals was basically just tap-ins from last season. And as you can see, that's dried up a lot this season. So I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle, but I think Real Madrid might get the better of them, either 1-0 or maybe even 1-1 or 0-0. It's kind of hard for me to decide which one I want to go for, but I'm going to go for 1-1.
So we've got 2 draws and a City win then. And the final game of this Champions League set is Lyon-Juventus. Juve
kind of obvious, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Juve have to be favorites for this one. I remember looking at my, because I'm hosting the bracket, so I get to see everyone's predictions. Everyone's predicting 7-1 on aggregate to Juventus, so I don't think it's going to be that much. I know Lyon are out with Memphis Depay. He's injured for pretty much the rest of the season, but I'm pretty sure Lyon beat, I think it was Marseille a couple of weeks ago. Let me check that. Yeah, they beat them 1-0 in the French Cup. That's the French Cup, but I mean, that's a big deal in France. So I don't think it's going to be a complete destruction of Lyon. I think it might be just 2-0 to Juventus. I feel like there might even be a chance for Lyon, but at the same time, Memphis Depay has scored about 5 of their 9 goals in the Champions League, so I'm going to go 2-0 for Juventus.
I think could be. I think that's actually a fair shout. 2-0, or maybe a bit more than that. I think 2-0 is fair though. I just actually checked the French league, and I didn't even know this. Lyon are actually 11th, really struggling. I didn't. Yeah,
no, they're doing terribly.
34 points from 25 games. I mean, like, I know Monaco had a terrible season last year. They're actually 5th.
It's a very
so it is that. I mean, I've not checked the French league this season really, but it's actually really tight. Strasbourg, Stan René's a 3rd. That's mad. I think Lyon, they beat City last season, of course, in the group. I think Juve will get this done, to be honest.
That's probably one that we can probably all agree on. I think it's the assessment from that.
Yep.
Are there any other big fixtures that we need to look at for the upcoming weekend?
Manchester City versus Port Vale.
Oh yeah, that one.
No.
What about
Enough FA Cup replays. Did they?
What about?
Oh no! I was just making a League 2 joke.
It's gone over my head. Yep. We got the.
What about Nottingham Forest against QPR? That's a big game.
I've got to keep it.
I haven't followed the Championship in a long time, man.
Yeah, we're 4th. That's all that matters. We're 4th. So yeah.
I mean, I check the table from time to time, but like I've never watched a Championship game.
We tend to batter
unless
QPR,
it's like the playoff.
So we tend to batter QPR. We beat them 4-0 earlier this season. So yeah.
Yeah, but
Anyway, that's not important.
Yes.
According to 538, though, it says you guys have a 14% chance.
Oh,
of promoting.
QPR. Yeah, definitely have. It was only like 7 years ago. 8. I don't even know.
A couple of FIFAs back.
Yeah.
What's one for?
It's actually saying Brentford has, out of the 3rd to 6th teams, Brentford has the best chance of promoting. Which is kind of
I could go with that, to be honest. I agree.
They get put as being promoted every year, and it's not happened for them, and I don't know whether they have the cash for it. I don't think they do. I can't.
I think it'd be West
cool,
Brom, definitely.
West Brom, everyone's favourite.
I think Leeds won't. I know everyone's going on about them, but I think they could actually go up this season. You never really know about Fulham. I think they could. I'm not going to write us off either. I think we could do it as well, but I think Brentford are definitely a fair shout.
I wonder. I have a feeling. I think we're going to see West Brom. I think they've been consistent enough all season. Fulham have always been decent with the results, and the likes of Mitrovic. I mean, he's a top striker. They've still probably got a few Premier League players kicking about in their side, and they're definitely ready to head back up if the opportunity arises. And I just think Leeds will throw it again. So I'd say West Brom and Fulham in the automatic. And then I just have a feeling that momentum is key in the Championship. In a league like the Championship, where it's very volatile, I could see the 6th place team going and bagging that final spot. So your likes of just looking at the table here, your Preston, or your Bristol City, or your Cardiff maybe, or even the team lower down that can go on a real run. Maybe Derby are probably a stretch behind, 9 points down. But if a team can go on a run...
let's just take you wrong about that. I just don't want that to happen.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying momentum is crucial.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
I can see it happening. Preston have not been in the top flight for a long time. That'd be an interesting one to see back.
Yeah, it would. I mean, let's consider as well with Fulham. They lost 3-0 at home to Barnsley this weekend. So, like, that's a bit weird. That it's a mad league.
Did you have anything but score draws? You've got 4-4 Hull versus Swansea, 2-2 West Brom Forest, 2-2 Cardiff Wigan. Jesus Christ, we need a bit in this in the Premier League. 4-2 to keep.
Yeah, this is the Championship. Really is mad. The Championship's mental. Like, who would have thought in 3 games, Leeds, Charlton Athletic, and West Brom, you'd lose the Charlton game? No, that's Forest's record. Anyway, yeah, it's mad.
Whether the Championship is a more exciting league than the Premier League is definitely an argument that needs to be had at At some point, I mean, a lot of Championship fans say it. You hear the Championship fans, they're always banging on about how it's one of the most exciting leagues. And for us, the way it goes up and down probably is a breath of fresh air compared to the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say.
That's
No.
Anyway, have we got anything more to add in terms of this week's podcast, or do you want to round off there?
Well, I want to add something to the Manchester City conversation. Apparently, a couple hours ago, the Manchester City CEO told the squad that trust him like he trusts them, that this case will be dropped. So, yeah, he's confident that UEFA is going to drop this ban.
I can't see it happening. They'd be sponsors if they didn't stand by that.
I mean, yeah, but this is modern football.
The one thing I would say is that money talks.
It's going to be interesting.
Money talks, so it.
I mean, yeah, they're going to be buying like every single lawyer from Abu Dhabi. So
Pep said he was going to stay. So Pep said he would stay. So I mean, I hope he does. Too. I hope he does, because that's actual loyalty. But I kind of have a feeling he won't.
I don't think he'll stay. I think it's time that he heads out around now anyway. So I can't see him sticking around where there's not really going to be any opportunities for him.
So he just goes back to Barcelona then?
They need him.
He's gonna have him and Klopp. They're both gonna have a siesta together. I'm gonna head off to Bahamas or something. Emma Mourinho, those three will head off a few years' time and off to
just watch the Premier League just die.
Yeah, Eddie Howe's got it. He'll prop the stuff up. Eddie Howe and Sean Dyche and Chris Wilder. That's gonna be the new top three.
Oh God.
That would be a mess. Burnley fans would not shut up. Vizza would never shut up, to be fair. He's doing a 60-hour live stream this week.
Yeah. I've been watching most of it, to be fair. I've been watching quite a lot of it. It's mad what he's doing.
I heard that 70 hours is when Mania starts to kick in.
Yeah. He's done 50 hours the last 2 years, but he's now gone and thrown an extra 10 in. It's a bit ambitious.
I mean, it's amazing. If he pushed it up even higher, that would be mental, but much further, and probably health is going to have to be considered. In terms of...
I can't see that happening, but
no,
yeah, it's crazy what he's doing.
2
Yeah.
hours. No. Ooh.
No.
Click. Anyway, should we close things off there, or anything final to add?
No, I haven't got anything.
No, I haven't either.
No? Yeah. Okay, so I think that is where we'll close off the podcast today. If you guys have enjoyed, be sure to go subscribe to all of our channels for updates across the podcast, as well as the podcast, which should be spread across each 3 channels over the coming weeks and months. Other than that, if you guys have enjoyed, leave in the comments below suggestions for topics that you would like to be covered in the upcoming weeks. Until next time, we'll see you then. Peace.